This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
On reconciliation, resilience, and peace building. Why? Because the country has to move forward so that they can preserve their culture and heritage, and so that the economy can continue to spur. But the proverb that we get from Burundi today: a bird that doesn't fly will never know where the harvest is ripe. A bird that doesn't fly will never know where the harvest is ripe. What are Burundians telling us this morning?
I think it's a very interesting proverb. And it purely means that if you don't do anything, you don't expect any outcome. Most likely, the process in which they are going through at the moment could be a clear example of definitely for them to have a long-lasting reconciliation and peace. And therefore, the productivity I think they are looking at in terms of what they are likely to achieve after they go through the reconciliation process, which in most cases, countries which have gone through difficult time, reconciliations usually take a generation. A generation is around 100 years before everything stabilizes and look forward towards having a successful future. And therefore, I tend to think they are focusing mainly on how best they could succeed in their future.
Well said, well interpreted.
Indeed. So today's the 10th of February. It's the second Tuesday in February, which is usually the date that is earmarked for Parliament to come back after the Christmas recess. And they've been on holiday for about 2 months now. I'm saying they've been in recess, so use the proper parliamentary language. Right. They've been in recess for the last 2 months or so. And so they come back today. And I guess off the top of it, there's a long grocery list that Kenyans would want them to tackle. But before we get to what Kenyans' wants are, what do you see as should be top priority for Parliament to then start addressing as they come back from recess today?
Thank you very much once again. I think we need to first reflect on what was going on during the holidays. It is important. Politics is shaped by the events that happens before Parliament resumes. And there are quite a number of things which has happened. The first one is the issue of power play, where the ruling party and other political parties which have been in coalition with the ruling party and their members and what exactly their behaviors have been. You know, last week, me as I have moved into the UDA party.
You have?
Because of the 2027 election. And we have some few other factors why I have decided to move that direction.
Okay.
We have visited the State House as aspirants. And of
course, you went that day?
Yes,
okay.
I went that day, and there are quite a number of issues which were discussed there. More importantly, are things which the ruling party has promised us in their manifestos and where they have reached so far. And that was a very good reflection for people who wants to decide on which direction of political wing they'll want to take in 2027. Therefore, there is the coalition, there is the broad-based government, and there is the 2027 matter of politics. And what is playing at the moment is there are radical changes in the engagement between ODM members, particularly the officials, the secretariat, and the ruling party whom they have formed, a coalition or a broad-based government. And those individuals probably who are not loyal to the agreement or the broad-based agreement, they will be whipped once the parliament opens. And that's where you will find there will be power play in that powerful committees in the House. Those members who are from ODM are likely to face the ones who are opposing to the continuity of the broad-based arrangement, as well as being in support for 2027, coalition. They are likely to be whipped out of their positions. And therefore, we expect most of the politics to be played in that particular play. The second thing that I think we need to look into is the issue of pre-election positioning. People are the sessions in a strategic, the sessions is seen as a strategic ground for 2027, where you realize that whoever will going to form the layout of 2027 election dispensation will come out forcefully during this session to make sure that he or she is visualized to see whether she will go on this direction or which direction. And again, bringing up, the loyalty aspect so that you are likely to get ticket for a ruling party, because Kenyans are elected based on either the ruling party, majority of them will want to go to the ruling party, or through a coalition that will going to support each other and that is likely to form the government. We are never elected based on political ideology. And of course, the principle of having policy that is anchored on the larger picture of what one is supposed to expect and what shouldn't have expected. And basically, most of the things that we go through is because we elect individuals, and that's why quite often we have bad leadership. We do not have policies that is anchored. Like, for example, I'm talking about the American way. You see, you're either the Republican or a Democrat, and you never change. The reason being, it is the ideology of that political party that drives you to why you are inclined towards certain political party. Here is not the case. Here is individual. If people like me, then they will go by me, regardless of whatever political party, particularly in northern Kenya. You remember the issue of the negotiated democracy that has been going on in our areas. These are the things that have that has been in place for the past few years. The other thing we expect, I think, from our parliamentarians is the issue of opposition versus the government's influence. It is this time now that everyone will want to influence their peers so that they gain strength in terms of who should be in support of their elections in preparation for 2027. And it's all revolves around election. Now, the other thing that we expect them to dominate on are the major bills. There are quite a number of legislative bills that are pending. And this includes supplementary estimate for fiscal year 2025-26. This is a time that it usually comes. We expect them to discuss issues related to 2026 budget policy statement. This needs to be also worked on. And of course, there is a medium-term debt management strategy that is expected also Parliament to discuss. This will shape tax policies, public spending and borrowing in a tight economic climate. These are things that we expect parliamentarians to scoop as they come in. Let's not forget the issue of IMF and World Bank. Those are issues that needs to be also be, the debt issues need to be also deliberated on.
As members of parliament resume their sittings today, there is whipping and de-whipping that will happen simply because there are those who would be considered not to be loyal to the party and its positions pretty much. But one then asks the question, even when whipping and de-whipping will be happening, is it for the benefit of political parties? Is it for the benefit of Kenyans?
I think I'd like to raise another question. Do we actually do things based on whether they will be of any benefit to Kenyans or to any of political parties? I think that most of the things that happens in our leadership is loyalty. Loyalty play a very great role.
To who?
To whichever, whether it is a political party.
The hunches in the political parties.
The hunches of the political parties. And the other thing that is very crucial, I think it's important for us to note, is to term the person. It's individual, actually. It is individualized. It is never based on any principle that this particular person has breached the rules and regulation of the political party. So mine is stemming, if I'm threatened and I'm told I'll be removed from this office, or if I'm punished, it's a way of punishment. So it does not translate to gains to the people who have, in essence, taken them there.
That would mean that political parties, as formulated today, that they could have an individual who's performing, say, great at the Public Accounts Committee, who is asking questions and ensuring that spending of public funds is done well. But because they are at loggerheads with a political party, the political party would not look at the benefit this individual is bringing on the table that gets to benefit Mwananchi, but they would look at how then do we discipline him, despite the fact that he's important in that committee. It's all about the parties and not what this person brings on the table that benefits Mwananchi.
I think you said it. There are some things that are obvious. Look at, for example, all those political leaders who have been whipped in parliament, and look at the key issues that probably they say was the reason. For example, if I had an opinion that I may not want to participate in passing a bill, and the reason I do that is because of my representation in that parliament, because you represent people, you don't represent political parties. Political parties are vehicles. But now, the role of representation that was, given to you by the electorate are never the things that are followed. It's either political party or probably certain interests that goes around. And therefore, as you put it well, it is very critical sometimes for us to think that this particular person is of any help to the country. That's the whole thing. We may not even think of that. And that's why people clap for them, because of the fact that this guy has been whipped off, he has misbehaved, he didn't show his loyalty to the leader of the political party or the party itself. And therefore that means then you lose the grip. Meaning, if tomorrow you are given again another office, you'll be fearing to make any other move. Therefore you will be forced to become loyal based on your interest now. So interest plays
a big role.
Yes.
It's interesting because it seems as though we've reduced Parliament or the National Assembly to the principal's office, where somebody must go sit in the corner with their hands up. And it was interesting because I asked the first question: what do we expect that Parliament will do coming back from recess? But what they should do is to focus on the things that actually happened prior to their going on recess, and the things that happened while they were on recess. That we had an absolute shambolic process of getting grade 10s to school. And that there's still a lot of money that's owed in the education sector. There are committees of parliament that perhaps we should have said, you know what, they've got to get back, boots on the ground, and figure this thing out and compel those who are in opposition, because that's what they do. They make the law, they legislate, they operate within oversight, and then they also operate within budget making. The three things that, if you look at it properly, are affecting the education sector. That would come and say, excuse me, 11 billion shillings was stolen from Shah. Don't tell me it was mismanaged, it's under the table somewhere, under someone's mattress, you can find it in someone's socks. No, it was stolen. Parliament can ask the question, excuse me, this money that we budgeted for is stolen. Perhaps that's what they should be focusing on. Not de-whip somebody and put their hands up in a corner because they spoke out of turn to what the executive may not have been happy about. That we can actually say, you know what, there's a drought that's ravaging the country at the moment. Can we not just talk about having supplementary budgets to release funds for these things to be sorted out, but how about we insist today that your National Drought Management Authority, your National Disaster Authority actually be given some legs to do something? That's what they should be doing, I would imagine. But here we are, and we're talking about the politics. They should come back into the House, and maybe who will be de-whipped, and maybe we can talk about who's doing the bidding for the executive. I mean, it's a crap show.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are quite a number of things you have mentioned, which in essence will have been the things that parliamentarians will have discussed. We wait and see. Probably few of them will open up their mind and think through what is going on. But let's figure it from this direction. One, we know very well that parliamentarians are supposed to represent the people who elected them. We know that currently what is going on, particularly as you mentioned, the drought is an emergency. It's affecting the people of northern Kenya. Actually, our people are dying. Animals have already died. People are starving, and adult malnutrition has started. Forget about children malnutrition. And water, basic things. There's no safe drinking water. We may not even call it safe. There's no
drinking water, period.
Yes, exactly. Whether it is safe or not, it doesn't matter to someone who has nothing to drink. People have not showered for the past month or two.
It's a luxury.
And yesterday, we have just had an issue that was so shocking for us, that, Islamically, when someone pass on, they are usually washed, the body, before they are taken to the grave. And yesterday we have been told in one of the villages in Mandera West, we were told someone passed on and they couldn't get any water to cleanse him. And therefore they had to bury the body without cleaning. So there are quite a number of crises that is going on at the moment. People are not thinking about that. We are struggling as people from that area on our individual basis to see whether we are able to help one or two and to make changes and save one person. But that is not all. The members of parliament, as they come back, they will never think of those things. People are shaping themselves on how best they will going to gain their seats back for 2027. Nobody cares about who is dying. That is the problem that we have. Now, currently there are issues. For example, as you mentioned, the education issue is a very big factor in the current crisis. I know quite a number of things have been done by the Minister of Education because they faced the reality. When the ball is tossed at you, you either pick it easily or you fall with it and pick it. And they fell with it and pick it, and now education has started. But there are quite fundamental things that needs to be put in place in order for the education system to be perfect. So the knee-jerk that we are getting currently is just because our lawmakers do not actually think of things before they happen. So they wait crisis to happen. Then this is when they will want to discuss
they're
things.
A planning body,
they
though.
They're
a planning body. We're saying that they're a planning body. But just look at those three things. You cannot budget without planning.
Correct.
You cannot legislate without planning. You cannot oversight without planning. But we are saying that emergencies come and knock down the whole thing every single time. Emergency, you're stumbling down, you come back with half your trouser on, your shoe has been lost. But bora tumefika. I mean,
so I think there's one thing that I think we must understand, all of us, that the corruption in this country drains most of the systems, and part of the system that is being drained is the legislatures, because you hear yesterday the governors mentioning a very critical thing. It's on the headline of the newspapers, and these are things that are alarming in a nation that has lived for 63 years and almost 63 years. And we know very well we are the big economy of Eastern Central Africa. But again, we look like we don't actually understand what we are expected to do. And therefore, I think the politics of politicians is based on interest. And that's why I like repeatedly saying it is not of any value for us to define them differently when we know very well that most of their things is based on interest. And that's why you hear sometimes back when a bill comes in and the bill has no interest in terms of someone pushing it with some tips, then the bill doesn't go anywhere. And that's why we have many bills that are pending before them, and constitutionally it will be a big challenge. And Kenyans don't care about constitutional crisis, and that's why we waited for electoral commissions for 2 years without commissioners. So all those things happens, and now we are already in constitutional crisis, whereby we cannot do review for boundaries, we can't do rearrangement of the constituencies. We can't do issues related to population census, because already in the census there was already those bit of northern Kenya which was removed by the courts to be repeated. And you cannot repeat census on one side when you know there was a growth which has happened on also the other side. That will not be statistically viable. So I think, as you said it, the key issues we wanted them to look into is to look for the supplementary budget, and this should be focused mainly on the current crisis that is going on. So that's where we are looking at.
So that means, as we sit today, the parliament that we do have has its priorities misplaced. Why?
Correct.
Because the first thing that we see that would happen is de-weeping and making sure that we have the numbers that we do need so that we can pass whatever we do, whatever it is we want. Because at the moment, even as we speak, we've seen what governors have said, that they would not show up. On the flip side, one would say you do not want to show up because there is some speck and some dirt in your books that you do not want to equally be seen and Kenyans to see. That today, one would say the political class or National Assembly is not thinking even about the crisis that is happening. They're thinking about how they will retain power and perhaps how they will get back to that power in 2027. But even as that would be, still there are issues that have to be handled on the floor of the House. We have the Safaricom sale, we have KPC as well, and many other supplementary bill that is there. We public participation on the bill 2027. So if I'm a Kenyan from outside and the members of parliament have just left our locales, if they showed up, how do we push? What must we push? What will make the members of parliament change and do right by Kenyans?
I think it will be very difficult for us to say specific thing, because the only language they understand is demonstrations.
Oh, okay.
That's the only language they understand.
Okay.
Because that has yielded result last time when the bill for 2025 financial bill was before the House, and they passed it without listening to the people. And that's the language they understand. But again, at this time, is it time to fight back, or is it time to move to crisis and see whether we are able to respond? There are a number of things. There are legal, entities that probably would have subjected them to something.
Which again, ones in Kenya?
I mean, I know the legal system, which also works independently, will be told not to interfere with parliament, because it's also an independent entity.
Body.
But that is not how our constitution works. Our constitutions work that every element of the arm of the government can be questioned. And that's why we think it is important, when one arm is not doing their work, the other must come out and clearly indicate why specific things must be done and why certain things must not be done. So I think the language we understand is when there will have been a political tension. And a political tension can be generated by politicians who are known, like Raila Amolo Odinga, the late. He could mobilize people and push parliamentarians to the wall, make sure that they don't do what they don't want to be done. But the point is that at the moment, and the way our politics looks like, and the way the political grounds are, I don't think if there's anything big we can do. Maybe we do petitions. Will they get anywhere? Because our petition letters are never read, number one. Number two, you realize that even in the public participations, that is constitutionally mandated to be done. Have you ever seen anyone giving us an audit of the public participation that has been submitted by the public for certain bill or certain issues? And then have we ever analyzed together and we are told, because of your outcry and because of your petitions, we have passed this? We have never seen that. And in any case, it's a ticking
box.
Ticking box, and there's nothing else that follows afterwards. So I actually don't know what we need to do.
Why
But
do you
we
think-
we will keep on crying? We will keep on writing on the newspapers. We will keep on speaking in the mainstream media so that people hear us and people do what they are expected to deliver.
The people who, in the majority or in minority, whatever the case may be, why do you think people run for office in Kenya today?
To get
At,
money.
at whatever level, MCA,
it's
member
as-
of parliament, women rep, senator, governor, president, all the way, 6 of them. Why do people put themselves in positions to be chosen? Why do they do it?
There are 2 things. One, the first one is to make money.
Okay, to make money.
To make money.
That's interesting. Okay.
Reason being, have you seen our governors? Once they are elected, 20 vehicles come in place.
The excellencies.
Their excellencies. We have never, actually, there's nothing called excellency in the constitution. Those are not the titles meant for governors. These are things they decided just to take. In the constitution, they are supposed to be called governor,
Yeah.
like the way it's in America, because that is how we have adapted our constitution. Governor so and so. Here they call themselves excellencies.
Right.
The only people who are supposed to be called excellencies are the president, the deputy president, ambassadors, and nobody else.
Okay.
The rest are their own.
So
That
they go
is
for
one.
money. Okay.
They go
Uh-huh.
for money. Secondly, the power and the ego of most of our people. The leaders will look for power because there are those who have money, but you don't know what they are looking for.
Yeah.
Meaning then they are looking for power, and power comes with extortion.
Okay.
Because if you have a lot of power and you have a lot of money, then you influence every steps in the society. That happens globally, everywhere. Because like for example in America, you hear the people who decides on who becomes what are the billionaires. So it's normal. It's anchored in our societal norms.
Yeah.
But the other thing, I think there are few individuals. There are few individuals who will want to lead and probably do some good thing for the people who elect them.
Okay. Few
But
people. They're in the minority.
They are in the minority.
Okay.
Because we can't say everybody is not looking at things from the right side of how it should be.
Right.
And that is why I think most of our leaders should. Yeah, again, the problem is not about actually the leaders. The problem is the electorates. For example, if you want to elect a member of parliament, you must spend over 150 million.
Okay.
If you want to be elected as a governor, you must spend over $1 billion plus. And that has happened in many of the counties.
Okay.
And when you are spending a lot of money, look at the catch. You spend money to get what you are looking for, leadership.
Yeah.
What happens? Your money is not free. So
You have to get it back.
you have been pushed to look for your money back.
Okay.
So it's a societal problem again that we need to look at. If
Okay.
our society do elect people without paying them, and the condition is whether they are able to become leaders of substance, then I think we will have good leaders. And when they come here, you are able to question them. At the moment, you can't.
So, whereas I agree that two things which seem opposite can actually be true in the same place, it's difficult for me to reconcile with. When you first started, you said that people go to look for these positions for money, then they look for power, they look for ego. And the minority are people who are actually looking for these positions to make a change. So it doesn't matter if they spend money.
Yeah.
It can't always be blamed on the people. It doesn't really matter whether they give money to the people or not. Their original intent for being in that position is not to make life better. The original intent is to make money, to seek power, to seek ego. So whether they give and spend 150 million shillings on an election, it is not going to change the axis upon which they entered it into this thing in the first place. They wanted power, they wanted money, they wanted ego. So whether they give money to these people or not, whether people vote them in or not, the thing that is spurring them on to go there is not going to change based on the people. If they went in with a clean slate, it would be very different. But by your own admission, these guys are going into going into these positions because you're seeking these three things. You're not seeking to go and make a change in the position in which you're hoping people vote you into. So I've actually just had a eureka moment.
Yeah.
All these leaders who keep saying we are a reflection of the people, we're a reflection of society. If you're going there for money, power, and ego, you're reflecting yourself.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with you. There's a point I wanted to bring to you. You have put it very well, and I understand why it is like that. But I think let's not forget one other thing. The power of control comes from when one is influenced. Influence brings the power of control. What do I mean? If we don't pay, we don't demand for any money from the leaders, and we tell them that we're going to elect them based on their quality of leadership, and the manifesto or the thing that they want to do for us in return, then you will develop, weak power where you can no longer forcefully tell people no.
Okay, let me ask you this question differently, Dr. Hassan.
Yes.
Of the 12,353 aspirants who traipsed to State House, when you sat in those meetings, were you confident and said, yes, actually, I'm looking around me, and I see that this is the future leadership of this country that's going to take it on so far on a development agenda that people are not going to be able to understand what happened in Kenya? Did you feel that way?
One way or another, yes.
You felt that way, that in the presence of those folks who are seeking power, money, and ego, you felt that these are the guys who are going to deliver this thing?
Let's look at it from the other perspective. 12,000 plus will not become the leaders of this country.
But their aspiration, where are they coming from?
That's where their aspiration. And it is the mandate of the people to select the well-qualified people among those 12,000, those who have good quality of leadership and those who have the people at heart. So we cannot condemn them overall. But the important thing is that sometimes...
And I think that's the problem. I think we should. I don't think that there's anybody who should be offering themselves up for leadership who is not going to do anything but lead, but actually practice the tenets of good governance and integrity and the upholding of the rule of law. I think we can judge people from the very beginning that if your intent is not for those things, then you have no business putting yourself up for leadership. I think we can. I think from the get-go, we should be able to say, I'm sorry, Dr. Hassan, from what I see, your intent is not to make things a little bit better for Kenya. It's for you. So you need not be there. Why are we not bold enough to say at that point, you know what? Sorry, man, not you. Why? Why don't we do that?
No, I think it's important for us. The reason as to why we want change in leadership, the reason as to why new people will want to be in that platform to change the current leadership is because we have seen what they are. And we cannot, if you have not tested leadership, you cannot just conclusively say you will not going to do well. So what we are trying to say is that a practical example of what is at hand now are the leaders who are representing people now, whom we have seen their interest is not at the electorate's interests, or their interest is not at the heart of the people who elected them. That's why we are looking at the aspect of whom shall we change, why should we change, and where do we take things. Ideally, the cycle of election is governed by appraisal of the existing leaders. Reason being, if you are currently in the leadership, after every 5 years, you must be appraised. If you have not performed what you are expected to do, then it definitely pushes you out of the system. And that's how the people elect new leaders. Therefore, what we are trying to say is that with the exception of a few individuals who have shown clear leadership, with a lot of pressure being mounted on by peers from other quarters, majority of our parliamentarians now have issues related to performance and issues related to addressing the primary role they went for in parliament. And that's why we think it is important for 2027, new leaders are elected, they come on board and see whether they are able to help. the community.
I mean, at the end of the day, as we look at new leaders who will be coming in, there is also the responsibility of political parties in terms of saving through who will represent them in these places of leadership. Because if a political party does not have a proper ideology on the kind of leaders it wants on its side, who will deliver to Mwananchi, then one would say that from the word go, that political party would never deliver or speak the voice of Mwananchi. Case in example, as we speak today, we see members of parliament who will be going back to the house, and one of the key things they'll be looking into is, how do I replace so and so in this committee? Because not to deliver to Mwananchi, but because that committee has great perks, comes with the security, comes with an extra vehicle. You get what I mean? But if we had political parties that said, despite of the fact that this individual is critical on our internal wrangles and our internal leadership within, he is the best person suited to be in that committee because we know he will deliver to Mwananchi. That our problem per se is not monies that is being spent at the campaign, but our political parties are visionless and have no ideology that is speaking for Mwananchi. So the entire cabal, I would say, needs to go home.
I agree, actually. Our political parties are shaped in a manner that they play their role in securing seats so that they become the majority in the parliament, so that they get nominations, slots for nominations. And the problem is that if your thoughts are not anchored on the interest of the people who elect you, and the interest actually of the political party supersedes that interest of the people who elect
the voters.
And you're going to see most of the time people even threatening, we will suspend you from the political party. This is someone who has been elected by people when they had their conscience, and they elected those people, to brought them into parliament. But you'll see still, when things are not going well in the political party, or the interests of individual political entities are not addressed, or you become a rebel, you're told you will be expelled out of the political party. Is it a political party that elected you? Or is the people who elected you and took you there? So these are the things that roving around parliament. But again, in the politics of Kenya has three challenges. One is the fact that manifestos are drafted every cycle of elections. And manifestos are supposed to be a continuation of continuation of agendas that will be of developmental in nature, that can be moved from this stage to another after every 5 years. So it's a strategic plan like. And when you say this is my manifesto, and you have anchored on the strategic plan that you will use to deliver that, it should retain that. But every year, the coalition arrangement dictates on what political parties will be delivered. What will deliver is the manifesto. So this issue of getting manifesto from different directions has also resulted in the thoughts that people are not telling the right thing to their electorates during their campaign times. And that's why they can never deliver in their manifesto, number one. Number two, the political parties are owned by individuals. And a classical example is ODM party. Baba was the leader of the party. Baba passed on, and now you can see they are already splitting. There is already fight. Meaning that the only person who was holding together is the owner of that political party. And I tend to think Baba used to tell, if you don't want the party, you go and look for your own things. Meaning showing power and ownership. And every political party works like that. And therefore, this individualization of the political party with no foundation of policies and ideology that people will follow constantly or continuously, like these political parties in the rest of the world, also brings a big challenge into it. Thirdly, it's about resources. Resources are the ones which governs leaders in the country. If you don't have any resources, if you don't have money to campaign, do you think you'll make it? There are a lot of good leaders. There are a lot of people who can perform if they are taken to parliament. But how will they get there if you have no backup of resources? Your challenge is that you are likely not to get to anywhere and deliver what you think will have been best for the people that you follow. So those three things are the things that surrounds the politics of Kenya. And if we don't look at that, and there's a time that there was this independent candidates which has come up, which was a very good thing actually, because when you are independent, you have a freedom. But when you come into the house. You become a lonely creature, because there of positions and committee memberships are distributed based on political parties. So what is the essence of you becoming an independent candidate, and yet when you go there you cannot do even a representation, because this oversight role is purely the committees are purely meant for an oversight.
I reckon that members of parliament just forget who exactly they are and what their responsibility is. You know why? Because we look at a party manifesto that is being spearheaded by the leader of that particular political party, but each and every member of parliament, 290 of them, have their own individual manifestos and promises to their people.
Correct.
That each and every single member of parliament is as independent as they are with regard to the people that they do represent, because someone from Fafi would not have the same issues as someone from Uriri constituency. It is as individual as is. That when someone gets to the National Assembly and starts speaking the language of we are speaking like this because we are a political party, speaks of individuals who do not know what their role is in the National Assembly with regard to representing their electorate and speaking on behalf of Kenyans. That today, members of parliament are in that house and they do not know what their role is, that they do not know how much power they wield over the executive, even the judiciary, because they are the ones in charge of even preparing budgets and approving budgets that do go to these offices that come back and boss them. It is members of parliament who do not know their role and the power that they do have. It is the reason why today in the in-tray, as they're getting in, the most important things that capitation has not gone to school. We have drought that is in the country. We have police excesses in the country. We have healthcare that is not working. These issues would not be a priority. All they will think about is how I will sing to the master and go beg for development that is.
Yes,
you're
absolutely.
Right.
I recently said in one of the conversations that you'll realize some counties or even counties get billions every year. And for example, the deputy president just visits their county, and you'll see someone begging, saying, Deputy President, do for us this, do for us this. The deputy president's budget is 2.8 billion, and that's for his office. He does not have any development fund. The only thing he represents is the president. And they are not giving out a memo saying that, Your Excellency, in our county, we were given this amount of money. This is amount we have used for our operations. This 20% or 30% or 40%, which was meant for development, we have done this 1, 2, 3 projects. We are having short of this project to be completed, or as we complete these ones, there are other priorities that are emerging, that is basic, that we need. Can you take this memo of ours to the president? Because the president has a mandate, has a budget, he can tell you, let's allocate the budget based on the needs of the people in that particular county. Now, our governors, they don't see what they have been given. They are learning, they have learned to beg. So they have become a total beggars on what they know. Nothing will come out of it.
Let me make it even sweeter.
Yes.
We have members of National Assembly who prepare budgets for the offices of President, State House, and Deputy President, right? Where they can sit and say, based off the pressure that we see our people are going through, we will chop 1.5 billion from the office of the deputy president. We will chop 2 billion from the office of the president, from State House, and put this in a basket and ensure that people from northeastern Kenya have dams that will help them. That will help them as drought comes in. It is the members of National Assembly who have the power to remove those budgets from those executive offices that they do go back to beg. They're the ones who are failing.
Yes, that's why we are, as you put it very well before, that they do not understand their role. You know, the challenge we have is that every politician think that the executive is the custodian of all resources in the country. No, the custodians of resources in this country is actually the representation of the people of Kenya.
Parliament.
And Parliament is the one which does that. But that now it is different. Because everywhere we go, I may stand up and get an opportunity to talk to the president. And the first thing I must say is that, Mr. President, our members of parliament have failed to support or do the basic needs of our people. And they have never told you. Now that it was their role to budget for that and they didn't do it, give us part of your budget to save the life of the people in our place. These are the things that currently now, as who sit at the fence of the leadership, do advocate for. But again, members of parliament, at any one time, they will just like following after, running or chasing after allowances, chasing after CDF to people who are likely to elect them and give them small project of to 2 million within their constituencies so that they become their representation on the ground. So and the whole aim is to be re-elected. No leader will come out and say, I have failed in my part, I will not want to continue. Please go and look for another leader that will going to do a better job than I will have done. You know, it has never happened in Kenya, but it happens in the rest of the world, where people think of whether they have delivered or not, and eventually they take the responsibility of not delivering. And if they take that responsibility, means then they open the way for another leader to pick up the whole responsibility and the role and see whether that particular leader is likely to do much better than this the one who declared that he has failed. So generally, as we speak, there is role conflict, lack of understanding, and indeed selfishness are the things that dominate in our representations.
Well, I think just to hear the last thing that you said, then I guess bears on the minds of Kenyans as you go into, and that's how today has been. That we're saying, you know what, it's out in the open. It's not a secret anymore what the desires of those who are putting themselves up as positions of leadership are really after. So then that should actually help you make a decision in the proper manner as to then who you're going to put into these positions of representation, who will actually egg Kenya on its way towards the development economically and socially that the country needs. They've told you, folks. Yep. You know already. So it's a no-brainer almost that you can actually make a decision. They've told you. You don't have to go looking for it. It's not a treasure hunt and look for no. It's right there in the open, and you can actually make the decisions. Let's do it. Dr. Harun Isaac Hassan is governance expert. He's joined us this morning. Thank you for making it part of the conversation this morning. Thank you, everybody. We'll continue the conversations tomorrow, God willing. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Good morning. It's 10 a.m.